All right, my friends, I'm so glad that you're here. And before we actually get our hands on the guitar, before we actually start learning anything, I want to give you a 30,000-foot overview on guitar, music, understanding the guitar, etc. A basic overview, generalization of what we're going to be covering. If someone had given me this video in the beginning of my learning, of the beginning of my career of playing guitar, of learning guitar, it would have helped out so much. I had to learn so much of this stuff by myself and through other players and what have you. And in fact, this one video alone, I would love every guitar player in the world to hear before they start playing, because it will really keep them on track and it will help them. It will be the backbone of what it is that they need to come back to when they get frustrated and that sort of thing. So we're going to be covering a few things in this video. So please indulge me, indulge yourself, because this is information that's going to help out a ton. Okay. So first off, what do I mean by this 30,000-foot view of guitar? Well, think about yourself as being in an airplane when you take off. This could be in your own city, your own state, that sort of thing. And you see your own city from this 30,000-foot or 10,000 or much higher than you've been before, just driving around in a car, walking, that sort of thing. And it allows you to see the city in a way that you've never seen it before. Yes, you're not going to see the detail, so you're not going to have that, and that's what we're going to be doing throughout the courses. We're going to be learning these details, but having this, this view of the city from this 30,000-foot view really helps to make sense of everything from a big picture. Okay. Or seeing a map, okay? Same thing here. And really, we can summarize all of our learning, in my opinion, we can summarize it into three different things. And it's fretting hand, picking hand, and theory, or just knowledge in general. We could just call it that, knowledge. When we talk about music theory, we're talking about the ins and outs of music and how it works, okay? Another very integral part, and a part that I teach a lot in the course. So very important. But really, we can break everything down to those three things. So this is something that I really want you to remember, because if you remember that, and you remember that it's only these three little categories, okay? They're not necessarily little, but we can always put them in three different categories that will really help you wrap your mind around a particular topic, where you can say, okay, I need to ignore the left hand right now, or I need to ignore the right hand right now. I just need to focus on the left hand, or vice versa, or just this theory. I just need to understand this. I don't need to be able to play it. I just need to be able to conceptualize it first, okay? Now, so some of the things that I want to go over with you in this is also some of the myths that you're going to experience, that you're going to hear people say, that you're going to think are true. And I'm telling you, these myths are myths. And I know that because I've been playing for over 30 years. I've been teaching for over 30 years. And there's a lot of things here that we need to understand going into this, okay? So I've got my little list here that I'm looking at, because I want to make sure that I don't forget anything. But some of the things are, you're too old to play, too old to begin, okay? And I'm going to go over these fairly lightly, because, again, this is supposed to be just an overview. No rhythm, that's another one, or that you're tone deaf, or that you have no coordination, or that your fingers are too fat, too short, or that you're born with that talent, okay? So I addressed several of these in the course already, but let's address each one of these very quickly. So being too old is I almost want to say ridiculous. I don't, if you feel some of these myths, I'm not making fun. I'm just saying, I'm wanting you to understand, just dispel them, because they're ridiculous. All of those are ridiculous. They just don't add up. I've never seen them add up. And I've seen folks overcome all of these myths, okay? That's why they're myths, and they're not truisms, okay? So being too old. The brain is designed to learn at any age, okay? And as we get older, we actually can get more focused on things oftentimes, okay? So the whole myth of being too old is out. And too old is different for everybody. I have folks saying they're 20 years old. Are they too old to start? I have folks that are starting in their 70s and 80s and not even questioning it. So it's literally the age thing's off the table. No rhythm. Rhythm is a learned thing, just like anything else. Yes, some folks are going to be better at rhythm than others, and some of that may have to do with DNA or genes and that sort of thing. But the more you focus on that, the more you back yourself into a corner. So if you don't want to play guitar, if you don't want to be good at rhythm, then believe those things. Otherwise, don't believe them. Okay. So rhythm is a learned thing, just like tone. Playing by ear, that sort of thing. It's a learned thing. How do I know it's a learned thing? Because I've learned it. I've always had a love for music. So I think because of that love, I was always listening to music differently than maybe someone who wasn't in love with music. Maybe someone's in love with physical art and they observe things in a certain way, and then they're able to paint things in a certain way that I'm not able to, because they're observing. They're more acute to visualization, whereas with me, it's always been ear. I've always heard things a certain way. And that's why some folks are going to be better at rhythm and at playing by ear and that sort of thing. But it's all developed. It can all be developed, and there's nothing that trumps practice, okay? No coordination. No one has coordination in the beginning of playing guitar. You just don't, okay? It would be equivalent to handing a baby an iPad, and I'm talking about a baby, I'm talking about a newborn, or a Rubik's Cube or something like that. They don't even know they have arms, okay? So they're not going to be able to manipulate things, okay? If you've ever seen a newborn, they don't even know they have arms till about 6 months old. So everything is learned, and any myths that you hear about people being born with this or that talent, it's just not true. Otherwise, they would have been born with it. They would have been able to do these great things. Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, all these guys, these great guitar players, girls, guys, all, they would have been able to do this at a very young age, 1, 2, 3 years old. Doesn't matter. If they were born with it, they had it when they were born. Otherwise, it's a skill that's developed. And that's good news for folks like us. And folks like them, because they can always get better. You and I can always get better. It's a learned thing. It's all a learned thing. So be encouraged in that, okay? Fat fingers, short fingers. These are, again, also, everybody feels like they have fat fingers. They have short fingers. They have uncoordinated hands and what have you. In the beginning, that's the way it is. Do you know why? Because you haven't played guitar before. If you were to pick up the bass or the drums or the flute or juggling or tightrope walking or something like that you haven't done before, you're going to not be good at it because you haven't done it before. So it's a great place to start, is where everybody starts. There is nobody who didn't start at the beginning. So you're starting at the right place, okay? So be encouraged at that. Don't believe about no coordination. It's a total crock, okay? Short, fat fingers, you can work around that with technique, okay? So even if you think you have short, fat fingers or short fingers only or fat fingers only, some of the greatest jazz players have fat, short fingers. So there you go. And the whole no talent bit, I hear this one a lot. No talent, or that you have to be born with talent. It's the same thing. Some of this could be argued, but the more you argue it, the more you trap yourself into not being good at a particular something. So I don't even entertain the idea of talent. People use that term pretty loosely, and I think pretty destructively, because the idea of talent means, something that you just, a gift or something that you just have initially. When in fact, when you talk to any of these great players, great singers, great tightrope walkers, jugglers, whatever, you'll find out that they practice a whole lot. In fact, most of them dedicate their life to it. So it's not a coincidence that folks that dedicate their lives to a particular something are better than folks that think that it's all a matter of talent and they just never get better. Okay, good or bad, it doesn't matter. The talent, it has everything to do with practice. Okay, so those are some of the myths that I want you to really, truly believe me. I've been doing this a long time. I've worked with a ton of students. You've got to believe me. Do not believe these. If you do, you might as well not even get started, because it's going to be destructive to you. It's going to keep you back from your goals. So trust me here. Even if you don't quite believe me, I promise you that throughout the course, you're going to see that Eric was 100% right, and that you're learning and you're getting better and better every day, okay? So let's, a few other things that I want to talk to you about is two things. Your fingers are going to hurt, and you are going to get frustrated. 100% of the time, every student who plays right in the beginning, their fingers hurt, and they get frustrated. They feel pain in their arms, okay? When I say pain, we're not talking about a nail through the hand. We're talking about, you know, basic fatigue, like lifting weights or doing sit-ups or something like that, okay? You're working muscles that you haven't worked before, and you're doing them in a way that's very repetitive, okay? So when things hurt, take a little bit of a break, come back to it. But just like anything, when you go to the gym, if you haven't been to the gym in a long time or you've never been to the gym, and you go to the gym and you lift weights, it hurts. It's just going to, because you're using muscles that haven't been used before. So if it didn't hurt, that would be very weird. So I get it all the time. I get these questions from folks all the time. Well, guess what? It would be very strange if your hands didn't hurt, if your muscles didn't hurt in the beginning, because you're getting acclimated to these new routines. So when it happens, know that's normal. Keep going. Take a break when you need to. It's okay. Fingertips are definitely going to hurt, especially if you're using steel string guitars. Folks say, how do I not have them hurt? Don't play guitar. That's how to make them not hurt. Otherwise, if you're playing guitar, they're going to hurt. If you go to the gym, you're going to be tearing muscle down. That's the whole point, to grow muscle. It's going to hurt. So take your time with playing and go light. You know, when you're playing, you're going to play a little bit lighter. And I talk about that throughout these videos, okay? So what are some things that you can do here? Number one, take your time, okay? There's nothing that beats practice. So when you come to a video and you're having some difficulty in this, and for the whole process, the 30,000-foot view, take your time, okay? What that means is, if you're on a particular video and you're practicing, take a lot of time doing it. Get to know it, okay? Just like you would getting to know a person, okay, who you want to get to know. Take your time with them. Enjoy the ride, and don't try to always rush to the next video. You're not going to get anywhere faster doing that. It really has to do with that would be like being in a relationship and trying to make it go faster. If you know anything about relationships, if you're trying to make a relationship happen, if you're trying to go fast, it's the kiss of death. It just doesn't work. It's about finding that finding that balance, and really just taking your time. Okay, so those are some of the things that you could do. And here's the thing, man. Why did you want to play guitar in the first place? Well, because it's fun, right? Because you enjoy the process. So remember that. 30 years later, I still find the guitar fun. And when I don't sometimes, I'll say, what am I doing? Well, I need to change this up. This needs to be fun. Because guitar should always be fun, okay? Now, sometimes it's very challenging, but the challenge is fun. Okay, so let it always be fun. If it's not fun, change something up, slow down, that sort of thing. So some of the things that you could do is to slow down, right? To slow down, enjoy that process, and practice more. Okay, so in summary, my friends, you can play guitar as well as any amazing guitar player out there, or mediocre. You can play mediocrely. Is that a word? I don't know. It is now. You can play at a beginner level. Whatever it is that you want to play at, you can do. It has to do with instruction, which hopefully I can help you with, and it has to do with practice. And the more you practice, inevitably, the better you become. So with all that being said, be encouraged. You can be anything that you want to be playing guitar. This is not just a pep talk. In fact, it's not a pep talk at all. It's just truth. If it peps you up and kicks you in the butt and gets you to practice, that's even better. But really, this is all about understanding that you can do anything that you want on this instrument. I could even do more than I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of teaching, a lot of videos, I'm writing a lot of books and that sort of thing. But the more that I practice, the better I get, okay? So, my friends, I'm excited that you're here. Let's dig in, let's learn, take your time, enjoy the ride.